When last did you walk to work? Crazy question, right? I did recently. Well, sort of. Next to the N2 of all places. It was dangerous, nerve-wracking, noisy, but eye-opening. And it reminded me of a time when I would walk 500 miles and I would walk 500 more just to be the man who walked 1,000 miles just to get to work. Remember that song? Of course you do. What a blast from the past. But seriously, shoes used to be one of the biggest line items in my budget. No chronic meds, no wearable tech, no medical aid, just shoes, man. Welcome back to Down the Line, the podcast where we take small moments from today and read them as signals of tomorrow. My name is Mich, and I'm a futurist. But not the sci-fi AI hoity-toity kind. I'm a human futures architect. I study how the systems we build shape the humans we become. And I help people and organizations think better about tomorrow so they can act with more intention today. Today's episode's about something hiding in plain sight, something that's reshaping South Africa's future. It trends a bit on the fringes of social media, but it hasn't arrived as a crisis moment yet. But it is already changing how we live, how well we live, and what kind of society we're becoming. Today we're talking about non-communicable diseases, NCDs. The World Health Organization defines NCDs, or chronic disease, as being of long duration and the result of a combination of genetic, physiological, environmental, and behavioral factors. The main types: cardiovascular disease, diabetes, cancer, and chronic respiratory disease. Around 20 million people die of NCDs before the age of 70 every year. So, the question we're sitting with is this: what are NCDs telling us about how we have lived in the past, how we live today, and what that could mean for our possible futures? But let me start with a small moment. Recently, my car went in for a service just off the N2 in Somerset West. Early drop-off, peak traffic. You know the story. Bumper-to-bumper cars, engines idling, and the stress levels rising. I had another appointment only 3 kilometers away. 3 kilometers. The service advisor looked at me and said, realistically, the courtesy car can only get you there in about an hour, hour and a half. For 3 kilometers. Now, I used to work in London back in the day. Public transport got you close, and then no drama, you walked the rest of the way. So I looked at the weather, I took a breath, and I decided to walk. Now, I'm a fast walker, but even so, that 3Ks gave back so much. Suddenly, I noticed how many people walk every day along the N2. Not for fitness, for survival, to get to work, to get home. Look, I wouldn't advise it. It's not fun. It's not safe. There's the air pollution. There's the noise. There's the stressed out drivers that do crazy things. But the idea itself, it's powerful. Making time to walk to work. And then think broader. Walking is a metaphor here for balance, for prioritizing exercise, sleep, diet, rest, recovery. I'm talking health, man. Which brings me to the phrase of the episode: temporal trade-off. A temporal trade-off happens when we sacrifice something in the present to gain something in the future, or vice versa. Temporal trade-off. And the further we kick the can down the road, the more interest it gains. It compounds. Interest on interest. We can either earn the interest, but if we get it wrong, we're the ones that'll have to pay it. So what am I talking about? We sacrifice the walk to work for another hour at work, for another hour Netflix and chill. We sacrifice the time it takes to make a healthy meal so we can get just one more mail sent. We sacrifice the extra hour sleep so we can have one more drink with that big client. And it's costing us. It's costing us our future wellness, man. You know that thing about 50 being the new 40 and life begins at 40? Well, here's the stats in South Africa for those over the age of 40. 1 in 6 people is living with diabetes. More than half have high blood pressure. Around 4 out of 10 have more than one NCD. So if you have diabetes, there's a 70% chance you also have high blood pressure. That's what you call multimorbidity, diseases stacking on top of each other. 4, cardiovascular disease is the number 1 overall killer. 5, for women, diabetes is the number 1 killer. Linked to 6, 3 out of 4 women is deemed overweight or obese. 7, NCD deaths have increased by more than 60% in the last 25 years. But let's turn it around. Under the age of 20, up to 30% of youngsters are overweight or obese, a 200% increase from 25 years ago. Insane, right? Something's wrong. And here's the insanest part. Most of these diseases are preventable, improvable, referable. With just a few tweaks, we can compound in the other direction, change the future, bend the line. But how did we get here? To help answer that, today I have my first ever guest on the show. And this person is not only a qualified and practicing health coach, but the person with the deepest knowledge on general health I personally know. She's also my wife and partner of many years, and I'm just super stoked to have her as my first guest. Welcome to Down the Line, Riekie.
Oh, thank you, Mich. It's just lovely to be with you. You know, my favorite hobby is just talking to you.
Yeah, and the same goes for me. So it's really great to have you here. Riekie, you're a health and wellness coach specializing in the health of women. Is that what you do every day?
Yeah, well, the main thing is keeping you and the boys healthy and healthy and happy, and yeah, and then looking after women.
First question, you know about everything that I spoke about to date. Is it true?
Yeah, unfortunately, Mich, it's a hard reality, and the thing that gets me is not the illness and not the stats, but how normalized people has made this. I see it every day in my practice that people think that at a certain age that you have to have an illness, which is very sad. And the other reality is that people don't know how close to home it's already for them. Yeah.
The big question is this. In South Africa, how did we get here?
Well, I think it's a complicated answer or question, and the answer we don't have enough time. But if I can make it very basic, and just to the core of it is what we eat, how we preparing it, and how we move has just been a major part. If I can take you back to how I was raised on a farm, 80% of my food on my plate actually came from the land. We went we went to the shop for different reasons. For getting clothes, it was not actually getting food. And these days, we are definitely eating out of, if I can quote Dr. Ben Bigman, we are eating out of boxes, barcodes, and bags. And those foods are highly inflammatory. It's refined carbs, it's added sugars, and just overall putting our bodies in this major crisis that are leading to all the chronic diseases you've been talking about.
I often hear you talk about the nutrition transition. Is that exactly it? You know, the shift from eating real foods to eating, what did you say, barcodes, bags, and boxes?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think another thing that happened is just the timing of it. So the food industry obviously changed, and but our lifestyles has become so busy and so rushed that that's the reason that we don't get home cooked meals anymore. My mother used to cook everything for us. Now most mothers are working, we don't have the time. It's expensive to get good food.
So part of this is obviously systemic. It's not that people don't want to eat real food, but it was easier when we were on the farm. We could eat real food. But due to urbanization, always on culture, a bad economy, which means that both parents need to work, it's just sometimes easier to buy the bags, the boxes, and the barcodes. And it feels a little bit as if,
Yeah.
like you just mentioned, the industry capitalized on that. They saw the opportunity and they made sure to convert on it to the detriment of people's health.
Yes, definitely.
Together with that urbanization and the always on and the rush, there seems to have been a transition for movement as well.
It's been a very natural thing that's become very unnatural. If I can take you back to the farm again, it was like that in the small towns as well. Is my dad used to just be outside from very early before sunrise until late. I think if I would talk to him about gyms, he would just laugh at me. So now, on top of this busy lifestyle, the only time that we get to exercise is if you squeeze another bit into your day, putting your body under even more pressure just to go get your exercise, which you really know you need. And the same goes for our kids. A natural thing like walking to school is not possible anymore in these days. Driving your bike to school was something that we all did. And now just that natural movement has been taken away because I simply can't send my child to school on a bicycle. So now we rely on all other aspects just to get our exercise in. So that's also been a major change.
And that adds to it, doesn't it? Because now we have eating the wrong foods, we've got not moving, and then we've got the chronic stress, right? And chronic stress plays a role in overall health, especially in this environment. It's an amplifier.
Yeah, definitely, Mich. And as I said, it's like our overall life has started to be so dangerous. Just the other day, we've actually lost someone that worked for us in a hit and run
Yeah.
on his bike. Just to add to what we talked about movement and the pressure of getting to work. Chronic disease, you see all the guys with the belly fat and the not sleeping patterns, it's all cortisol. I can have a client that eats a perfectly healthy meal every night. She moves when she gets the time, and still the weight won't budge. And then I know that it's the cortisol levels too high.
This aging population. So 25 years ago, the median age of South Africa was much lower than what it is now. And the reality is, as we age, we get ill, right?
Well, me, I'm passionate about disagreeing with you on that one. I know that we don't have everything in our control when it gets to aging, but I do have a very strong belief that lifestyle and how I treat my health has an impact on how I age. I don't know when my end date will be, how long I would live, but I do believe that if I put my health first every day, my overall health, what I eat, what I put into my body, my movement, everything will determine my health, not my chronic
Mm.
disease.
Yeah, and the thing with chronic disease and aging is that it puts pressure on the healthcare system. And I want to ask you, what is your opinion of that system that sits in the background?
Yeah, most definitely. There's always been a gap. Um, we are lucky that it's getting smaller. But you used to go to the doctor, and people would expect to get a pill to fix it. But what happened is, with the diagnostics of a high blood pressure, soon after that, some other um, stuff will pop up that also needed medication. Um, Doctors didn't have the time or the willingness to teach patients that you can actually change this with lifestyle. That's my biggest concern at this stage, is that people don't really know that it's possible to change your outcome. It's possible not to have high blood pressure for the rest of your life. It's possible not to get diabetes too. That taking your health into your own hands and learning about your own body can change your destiny.
So here's the forecast as I see it. 25 years ago, there was around 3 million people in South Africa with NCDs. Today, it's 7 million. In 15 years' time, it could be in excess of 30 million. That's not a wave, it's a tsunami. Now, let me tell you another story. Late last year, a family member spent time in a major public hospital, a leading academic hospital. The doctors were absolute heroes, booked straight to heaven. But the infrastructure, the plumbing didn't work. Toilets were the stuff of nightmares. Faucets weren't working. In a hospital, broken air conditioning, holes in the ceilings, outdated notices peeling off the walls. This wasn't neglect, it was a system barely holding itself together. And here's the reality we need to sit with. Because of rapid population growth, urbanization, migration, aging, the economy, and lifestyle, the country's healthcare burden is doing this. And we haven't even talked about the uncertainty that national health insurance brings to the party. You don't want to become sick, man. At best, it will take time to fix this. At worst, we're sleepwalking into a future where preventable disease overwhelms a system that was designed for yesterday. So what do we do as humans and as organizations if we want the best possible futures in a world where NCDs are rising faster than our ability to treat them? Here's the thing. We can't control everything, but we can control more than what we think. So without asking you for advice, but asking you for advice, the 3 to 5 things that people should do now, based on the information that we've got and know, what should people be doing in order to become better humans in the future?
So my first tip will always be to eat real food. If it's got an ingredient list, just treat that as a warning sign. The second thing is prioritize your exercise. Plan on your movement first, and the rest of the day will just follow. Know your numbers. When they went off road, it's already too late. Prevention is better than cure. And then look after your sleep and your recovery. Protect that with everything you have. And then the last thing I would mention is just to be a lifelong learner. The resources are out there and it's in your hands. Take control of your health and learn every day.
Thank you for your time, Riekie. Much appreciated. And then, for organizations, leaders, and companies, this is where the biggest leverage sits. 1. Design work that doesn't make people sick. Long hours, constant pressure, no recovery time. These are not productivity strategies, they're health liabilities. Don't buy people's health in exchange for a better bottom line. Instead, look after the people, and the people will show up better for you. 2. Make health easy, not heroic. We all know that one guy at the office gets up at 3:30, hits the gym at 4, behind his desk by 7 and sipping on a protein shake when everyone else is in the canteen chowing pizza. If health requires extraordinary effort, people won't choose it. Design for movement, rest, and better food. 3. Use technology to support humans. Wearables, screening tools, digital coaching tools. Use them to spot risk early, support habit change, maintain continuity of care. But don't confuse data with care. You have to care first. 4. Learn from the successes of others. We've got world-class examples of wellness programs driven by gamification, incentives, and combined funding models. Why not learn from them? Incentivize those that take time out to be healthy and still get the job done, not only those that burn out before 40. 5. Act ethically now because your customers are aging too. Companies that ignore health today are helping to build tomorrow's crisis. Those that support well-being will earn trust, loyalty, and relevance. It's like watering and weeding your garden. Forget to do it today and live with the problem tomorrow. In closing, non-communicable diseases are a design problem, a time problem, a values problem. They reflect how we eat, how we move, how we work, how we rest, and what we choose to prioritize. We can keep deferring the cost, or we can make different temporal trade-offs. The future of health won't be won in hospitals. It'll be shaped in ordinary daily choices by humans and organizations willing to think beyond the bend. Make time to walk now, or make time to deal with not being able to walk later. The bill always comes due. Until next time, happy futuring. And remember, measure what matters, but live beyond the numbers.
Down the line, catch a wave.